Hey there, yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. That one goes until 8:45. The first tornado warning we had put out towards Baffin Bay, that one expired at 8:30. The new one will expire here in about 5 minutes, and that's just for some spin-ups over at Baffin Bay, mainly waterspouts. They went with a marine warning. Again, I'll get to that in just a second. Here's where Tropical Storm Harold stands right now as of the 7 a.m. update. So this data is a little bit old. You can see the wind field moving in even closer than that last known location. It's pretty close to making landfall now in South Texas. All of these red boxes here, that dark red, those are the tropical storm warnings that we are under until further notice for the tropical storm conditions. You can see even though we are not in the cone for Corpus Christi or even the majority of the coastal bend, we're still feeling a lot of the effects of this storm because of the wind shear taking a lot of that stuff to the north. So we're going to be seeing a lot of rain like Simone was out there in, as well as breezy winds. And speaking of that rain, here's where totals stand of about 10 minutes ago. So we have seen multiple inches of rain, some estimated 2 inches of rain by radar. Now, all of the numbers on here are official reports, but the colors are going to be those estimates. We've seen about 4/10 of an inch at the airport in Corpus Christi, but here in town, we're receiving a report of over 1 inch of rain. So we do have that tornado warning still going on in effect, and that is again down towards Baffin Bay, moving to the southwest, I believe, last update around 25 miles per hour. So we can zoom in on that here in just a second. You can see lots of those rain bands coming on. We have another round of rain about to start for us here in Corpus Christi. That is getting pretty close to us. Here's a look at that latest tornado warning. Again, that is within the marine warning that's going to last for a little longer than that. The tornado warning ending here in about 3 minutes, and that's for these little spin-ups that we've been seeing here on the velocity. So this is showing the winds moving towards and away from the radar. I've got that up here, what that means. But you can see whenever we're getting those different colors next to one another, kind of the reds and the greens, that's what we look for when we're talking about the tornadoes and the spin-ups. You can see right now they don't look all that tight, and what that means is really close together and really different. But now they're kind of spreading out those colors, so that means that we're not really expecting anything here in Corpus Christi, but we are expecting some breezy winds. Here's a look at the wind gusts right now. I have these categorized by color. So the green is going to be tropical storm strength winds, and the blue is tropical depression. The blue is the tropical storm strength. So we're starting to see some tropical storm strength gusts out towards the island and right out towards Flower Bluff. So here's what it's going to look like through the rest of this morning. We're going to get windier as we head throughout the day, with most of our areas experiencing those tropical storm strength gusts, and that's again why we have the tropical storm warnings in effect until further notice. So this takes us through lunchtime. Let's push it about 4 hours later, and then that is going to get us to 4 p.m. here. My clicker has stopped. Oh, there it goes. 4 p.m. and we're going to see the winds start to calm down, and you can see how the winds start to turn from, instead of feeding down into the storm, as that storm moves away, they're going to be feeding into the storm kind of this way. And we're still going to be seeing those rain bands throughout the afternoon. So the rain coverage is going to decrease into the afternoon, but we're still going to be seeing those rain bands feeding in along with these gusty winds into the afternoon. So here in a second, I'll take it to a wide view of what we are expecting and what those rain bands are going to look like. So here's about where we are right now. Landfall in the next hour or two, and we have most of that rain coming on shore right now. And as we head further into this afternoon, that's when we're going to see the rain start to kind of decrease in coverage. But don't put away your umbrella just yet. You're going to want it for any of these streamer bands coming in throughout the afternoon. So that's what I meant. We had originally the winds coming like this when the storm was further over, but as it continues to progress, we're going to see the winds come more from the east rather than the northeast. But again, the rain chances are continuing here throughout the day and even into this evening and into tomorrow. But heading into the rest of this coming week, we are going to hopefully, fingers crossed, dry out even from this very beneficial rain. But on the flip side of that, we are unfortunately going to heat up. So Carly, I'm going to send it back over to you if you have any other new updates over there in the Weather Center.
Yeah, so far, something I just wanted to kind of tag team on is Kristin was talking about those winds shifting. One thing is the way our bays are set up, when we have more northerly winds, there's not a whole lot of push across our bay. But once we get, if we get the wind going more so across kind of an east-northeast wind that takes it across kind of the Laguna Madre and then across Corpus Christi Bay. That's where we could see some of that storm surge potential. And then, of course, once the winds are really picking up and they're strengthening, that's when we're going to see the risk for some of that higher inundation. So I'm going to clear this out because now the arrow is turned all crazy, and it will not be turning back around like that. But something that I also want to emphasize is we're going to start to see a lot more persistent rainfall in the coastal bend. So we've been dealing with more of those outer bands through the morning, and as we take a look around the region, when we look up toward Victoria, you're seeing one of those outer bands, and toward Goliad, but Beeville starting to see off and on rain, George West starting to see some off and on rain in the area. Very spotty activity. That's why rainfall totals are around a ½ an inch or less once we get closer to B County, Live Oak County, because you're going to see more of this spotty activity that's associated with those outer bands. Additionally, now that we're starting to see the center of the storm approach South Padre Island, we're starting to get some of that heavier, persistent, I would call it moderate, with some embedded pockets of the heavy red rainfall showing up. That moderate, persistent rainfall that will be continuing across the area. So that, the good news is, at the amount it's falling, the rainfall rate, I don't expect flash flood warnings, but we may start to see more of that street flooding when it is more of that consistent rainfall that we are going to be seeing over the next few hours or so. So that's something to keep in mind. Additionally, we are starting to see the center of this storm approaching South Padre Island now, so it is nearing there, and that's going to continue as our winds start to pick up. Now, with those tornado warnings that we have had, here's kind of how those tropical tornadoes tend to form. As the winds are picking up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, they're moving in faster in the upper levels of the atmosphere than at the lower levels of the atmosphere. And so that is known as, that's a form of wind shear. And again, wind shear will weaken a tropical system, but it does enhance the risk of a tornado. And so this is known as speed shear. It creates a rotating tube of air that then forms into a tornado with some rising air associated with those embedded thunderstorms and the updrafts associated with them. And that's how we get some of those tropical tornadoes in the outer bands of this system. So taking a look one last time at Tropical Storm Harold and where it is at, again, the outer band, or the outer area of where that center of the low is starting to approach now South Padre Island, but all of the rainfall is about to be moving in again to South Texas, especially the coastal bend. Our winds will continue to remain strong, 40, 50 mile per hour gusts through lunchtime at least, if not a little bit longer. And something else to note is that area of high pressure, right? It's over the Midwest, and that's what's steering the storm into our area. And it's been a while since we've looked at this, but we do still have a 7-day forecast, right? And so heavy rain is going to continue through the morning. We're going to start to see that persistent rainfall. Through the morning, you might be like, why are we seeing breaks? Well, we're about to get in a period where we're not going to see breaks in the rain, but it might not be quite as torrential as what we saw with some of those outer bands. Isolated storms still lingering into Wednesday, but the sunshine returns as that high shifts back south, and we are going to see our max heat index back around 115 as we head into the weekend. Barbie, John Thomas.
Okay, Carly.
We need to give her a little break.
Yes, thank you.
I had a break. Kristin Walla did an amazing job.
I can hear your voice getting a little scratchy. You're worrying me.
It's been scratchy the last few days.
We just want you to take care of yourself.
Okay.